Oh man, we about to talk about one. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled "Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father" at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below, as usual. This video is entitled "A Shortage on Sex Appeal." I'm going to talk about both genders, but I'm going to talk about it in a physical sense, um, physically, mentally, spiritually, or energetically. How about that? So, I think there's a shortage on sex appeal. That's what's going on. That's part of what's going on. I'm not going to say that's what's going on. But you're dealing with men and women who are wanting the opposite sex to accept them for whatever they are, even if they're not appealing. If you're not appealing physically, you want people to accept you. This is what I mean. You make the argument that, I wasn't out last night. Okay, I went out last night, like hole in the wall / hood kind of club or whatever. Girls was fine. Girls was hood. Wasn't necessarily a turn on for me because a lot of the girls who were physically appealing stood out. Because a lot of girls weren't physically attractive because they were overweight. And we don't want to be honest about this and say that's a problem. There's a shortage. That's why. And I live in Houston, so where I was at, I was on a whole different side of town last night. But there are for men, there are a lot of women who probably aren't good people and, aren't that bright, but they get an advantage over a lot of women because they're physically fit. They're attractive. And you're not, whether you like to admit it or not, you're not running into a lot of attractive women as far as physically looking, right? So they stick out like a sore thumb at times, especially in an environment where it's a bunch of women. Now on the flip side of that, when I was out last night, the women had the same issue because there were a lot of dusty dudes. When I looked around, I was probably the same age as, maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger, but you can tell that they weren't taking care of themselves, a lot of them, by how they were built, because they were bad built cats in there, by how they carried themselves, by how they presented themselves out into the public, in the way they dressed. Women weren't really checking for some guys because they didn't look like, they looked dusty. And you want to go out, guys, when you go out, once you hit the nightlife, or once you just go out somewhere, you have to present yourself, you have to look your best. And when you go out and you don't care how you look too, there's an age where you too old for that, and where I was at, it was definitely, cats was too old to be looking dusty, and there's too many of them. So, guys that got it together probably stuck out like a sore thumb, so it's a, and the same thing, women, like, I'm gonna go to the gym after I'm done with this video, the next video I do, when I realize when I work out, women look at the guys who are in shape more than they do the guys who aren't in shape. That's attractive to them. So you got to put that in a perspective that, they are looking at physicality just like we are. So if you ain't got it like that, you ain't got it like that, right? So that's going to be a strike against you because it's a shortage on sex appeal when it comes to looks. Now, the other shortage is mentally. Like, even like last night and other places I've been, I've met a lot of beautiful women, and they weren't bright. And as I get older, I'm looking for the trifecta. You know, I want to meet with somebody who's attractive, who's intelligent. I've always wanted somebody who's intelligent, but who's intelligent and who has a good spirit about themselves. But mentally, I've run into a lot of slow people. So it's the sex. It's a shortage on women who can mentally turn you on. A woman that you go, oh man, she's so smart. I like her. Like, I can talk to her. We could have conversations. We can bounce ideas off each other. I could watch you work and succeed and move forward in your life and your aspirations, and you can watch me work and succeed and move forward in my life and my aspirations. But it's a shortage on that because a lot of people really aren't standing on their own 2 feet, and a lot of people aren't as smart as they say they are. So it's a problem. And the other thing about that is some people think manipulation is a form of intelligence when, in my opinion, it's not. It's a form of taking shortcuts because you're not smart enough to do what you're setting out to do. You know, and the same thing, and mind you, it's like 7 levels of intelligence. What I mean by that is there's intelligence kinetically, which means your body intelligence, which you can physically tell your mind can tell your body to do at this, athletic. That's a form of intelligence. Orating is a form of intelligence. Talking, mathematics, science, form of intelligence. Mathematics, mechanics, form of intelligence. That dog it. Artistically, that's a form of intelligence. So on and so forth. So somebody can be proficient in one and not proficient in the other. That I get that. But to see people lack intelligence in all 7 categories is a problem. And then for the guys, I've run across a lot of dumb guys too, and when women are looking for guys to be the head of the household and the leader in the relationship, and she's looking at a guy and he's an idiot, I think she's not attracted to that. And some of the women that complain about they're strong and independent and these men ain't leading, they're choosing dumb guys on purpose, and then they realizing it doesn't work out well. But the shortage of the sex appeal to me is part of a man's sex appeal is his decision making. And if he doesn't have a good head on his shoulders, it makes him less attractive. That's just in my opinion. I don't think any woman wants to be with an idiot. I think because all the years I've heard women complaining about, guy who gambled away the family's money, or who was impulsive and made bad decisions, and always constantly needs forgiveness because he's always screwing up. And that was never a turn on for women, right? So the final one would be spiritually, energetically, right? There's a shortage on people that, for me, that I've ran into to have actually good energy, and I see sometimes good energy repels bad people from you, which is a good thing, and but it's easier to attract those energies together, right? Because you can meet somebody who you're not physically attracted to if you're a guy, and she has a good head on her shoulders and she has a good energy, and that makes her attractive to you. 2 out of 3, But you know, if she's trying to improve her looks, it's a good look. You like, I can do that. You know, there's a lot of married men out here whose wives ain't dimes, but if you got to talk to their wives and be around their wives, you know exactly why they with them, because they have a good mind and they have a good spirit, right? But you come across a lot of people with bad vibes, and that takes away from your sex appeal, because you know, we all know of a beautiful woman who just is a jerk, and though she's beautiful, it makes her look ugly. You get what I'm saying? Or she's dumb and it makes her look ugly. And I think the same is the reverse of that. Like, I think women are looking for men who have a good energy. Like, yeah, I will say, because of the stereotype of women like in Bad Boys, y'all are late to the party on that. But as I get older, you know, all of the even though you're supposed to help bring peace in a guy's life, they want guys who have peace in their life already, because the drama ain't really worked out for them. So they want that good energy. You know, that's what they're starved for, is a good energy that balances them out, and a good spirituality that keeps them in check, and a leader who can lead by example. You know, and they've I think women have not been attracted to men because there aren't a lot of men of good character. They could be good looking men and they could be smart men, but their character might be off. And you can be attracted to two, but that character issue is going to ultimately lead to a problem. Just like that's part of the infidelity problem and all that other stuff. It's not necessarily that guys are polygamous. It's the fact that guys' character is flawed to the point where they can't even say who they really are. So you could be attractive and you could be smart, but now you're a childish little boy that wants to cry and hide behind not having the character of a real man, and say, look, baby, I'm gonna be with other women too. You can't say that. You can't give her a choice. So I think that becomes a turnoff. So, you know, ultimately, I think it's a shortage on sex appeal, because these three factors contribute to what turns people off to people. So we out, yo. Peace.